Freedom Park, a memorial and leisure park area in the middle of downtown Lagos, designed by architect Theo Lawson. It was constructed to preserve the history and cultural heritage of Nigerians.
Concept for Freedom Park started about sometime 1999 when a group of architects got together and wanted to plan ideas for the millennium. What was Lagos's contribution to the millennium? Like all over the world, different countries were planning their millennium projects, millennium parks, millennium domes, and stuff like that. So we got together and said, what are our plans? What could we as architects do for Lagos? And each firm, it's about 20 of us, each firm went off to develop their own ideas. And I felt Lagos required a park, which, like most cities, was a place where people could come, get out of the city, get out of a congested area, and come and relax. So first of all, Freedom Park was just a park until we came to this place, because I knew this was the only possible available space, because it had been abandoned for many, many years. When we came to research this space, we realized it was much more than just a park. We met somebody who told us a bit about the history of the space, and there was the fact that there was gallows here. They hung prisoners, and it had been in prison since 1872, and was shut down in 1972, which was 100 years. So it had been a prison yard for 100 years, and it had people like Awolowo, Herbert Macaulay, and many other of our heroes that had been incarcerated here. And so we felt that, okay, it was not just a park, it had to be a memorial space. So we had two elements, but how do you sustain it? And I thought, okay, let's introduce the element of the arts and see how the arts could become the third key element to it and make it sustainable. So that would bring people here on a constant basis. So that was the evolution of Freedom Park. But the concept was primarily about creating a space within the city where people could come and breathe nature.
Theo Lawson, who designed and built the Freedom Park, studied architecture at the Architectural Association School, London, between 1978 and 1985. Theo Lawson, in collaboration with a team of designers, formed CIA, Creative Intelligence Agency, to spearhead ideas for Lagos in the millennium, which led to its conception and realization of Freedom Park, Lagos, a project involving the rehabilitation of the first colonial spaces in Nigeria into Lagos' most engaging art space.
As an architectural student, a second-year student in architecture school, I had seen the demolition of the old Carter Bridge. Carter Bridge was an icon in those days. It was we all grew up, and it was the only bridge in Lagos at the time. Before they built a co-bridge, and subsequently the Third Mainland Bridge. So when this opportunity, I saw this space that became Freedom Park, abandoned. I knew sooner or later some developer would come along, and the idea would be to build some high-rise development. I felt it was important to try to establish the idea of an open space as quickly as possible. So I did not want that opportunity to be lost as we lost the Carter Bridge opportunity. So pushing this idea forward for me was very, very important, and I felt it was a major social service that we could not afford to lose.
Freedom Park, a captivating public space located in the heart of the city, built on the site of a former colonial prison. The park is a symbol of Nigeria's journey towards freedom and independence.
Well, I think it's every architect's dream to see their design work. Firstly, like I said, we wanted to create a park, and there's nothing, when you see people sit down on the benches you provided, couples romancing on the benches you provided, people going for walks, and just generally kids hanging around in the space. It shows that we have created a space that's viable, a space that bring some form of comfort. This is probably the coolest place in Lagos Island right now, under the trees. I mean, it's not like being under the trees to enjoy the comfort of nature. And then combined with the fountains we have and the fish, I think we've created both a climatic and an experiential environment for people to enjoy.
Today, the park is home to various interesting festivals that celebrates film, theater, literature, music, arts and crafts every year. This includes some of the big shows such as Lagos Theatre Festival, Felabration and the Lagos Poetry Festival. However, there's a very interesting history of this place that isn't common knowledge to a lot of people.
The museum represents the records office. It was built to tell the story of Freedom Park. That's upstairs. Downstairs, originally, I wanted to have like the Lagos Museum, but government could not fund it. They couldn't raise the funding for it, so we left that, and the hall became just a multi-purpose space. Yeah, like I said, this is the old entrance into prison, the original entrance to the prison. And the original building was right against the road, against it. So those windows were actually into the building. So visitors, family would come to the windows and say, I'm here to come and see so and so, so and so. Then they'll probably process you and let you in.
It all started in 1861 when Lagos was made a colony after the British had threatened Oba Dosumu, the then Oba of Lagos. There was a need for a formal system of law, leaving behind ostracization and banishment as it used to be. With this new system, the need for a penal system arose to ensure the safety of the people in the community. Following this new development, a prison made of mud walls and grass thatch was constructed in 1882. This prison did not last long due to sabotage from the opponents of the colonial government. In 1885, the then colonial government imported bricks and rebuilt the prison that was referred to as Her Majesty's Broad Street Prison. The prison held political prisoners including the likes of Herbert Macaulay, Michael Imodu, Anthony Nahoro, and Obafemi Awolowo. As of 1898, the prison had 676 males, 26 females, and 11 juveniles. In 1979, Her Majesty's Broad Street Prison was pulled down and reduced to a dumping ground until the 1990s when talks began to transform this old prison into a creative space.
Freedom Park is a park that I hope will live long beyond me, because it's nature. Trees will grow, some will die, some new ones will take its place. It's a park and it's nature, nature's stake within the city. So as long as nobody has some great ideas about coming to clear out all the trees will continue to create an environment that sustains the space. The physical elements we provided, like the museum, the art galleries, the stages, the three main stages, are all part of the human contact, and then also the sustainability content. The stages, we have concerts and stuff like that, bring people in. The food court is where people come to eat and drink. And then the museum, and the museum tells the story of Freedom Park and also exhibits present and past artworks or art exhibitions. So the future, in terms of what else could we add to the space if we had a chance to, we are toying with the idea of artist residency, where this was a prison. So what's a prison without occupants? So we want to create like an artist residency where visiting artists or performing artists who perform at night and not get back home, a space where they can sleep, and also visiting artists from abroad or from outside Lagos who have come to do projects in Lagos or residency projects within the park can have somewhere to sleep. That also would be seen as a commercial or a revenue center, which will help our revenue base. Another idea we have is to cover the amphitheater with a sort of like retractable roof. So the amphitheater can work more, it's more viable, especially during the rains and in the hot afternoon sun. So those are two of the initial ideas. We want to make it more children friendly by creating a children's area where not just play things, but also be educational engagement there, painting, making crafts and stuff like that. Because the prison also had its own centers for vocational work. They had tailoring workshops, carpentry workshops, and as well as a blacksmith. So it's all within the keeping of the essence of the space.
By October 2010, when Nigeria celebrated her 50th independence celebration, the new Freedom Park, designed by architect Theo Lawson, was opened to preserve the history and cultural heritage of Nigerians. Though new, the park still holds various elements of the old colonial prison while standing as a monument to represent freedom today.
When we got here, all the buildings have been pulled down. All the buildings apart from the fence. So how do we, but it was important to preserve the notion of what was here before. So how do you tell the story of a prison without rebuilding a prison? So we were lucky, we found the old plans, and we tried to interpret the plans in such a way as symbolically represent things. Like there was cell block A, which represented as a cutaway section of a cell, so you could actually physically see where the cells were and feel the size of the space. Cell block B, which is just here, is a pergola where you can walk through and you can see the impression of the cells on the floor, which is planted. Cell block 3 is a skeleton, a metal skeleton of the prison block being exhumed from the ground. Okay, the old records office where prisoners were processed before being taken to the cells, we built a museum. Essentially, that tells it's about record keeping and what happens here. The food court sits on the footprint of the old prison kitchen. So you can see that there's a sort of like a symbolic reference to essentially things that were here. But those were always on the footprint of what was here before. And then most important was the main stage. Our main stage sits on the location of the gallows where prisoners were hung. So we tell our performing artists that go on that stage that they better put up their best performance, lest their career might die there. So it's all symbolism.
Today, when there are visitors in town who want to experience the city and its art, or Lagosians who want to enjoy their art in a peaceful atmosphere, the Freedom Park is highly considered, transforming it from this former place of sorrow to a place of unwind and have fun.
My name is Theo Lawson and I'm hanging out with Kole Obasa on Dodo Vibes.